What we're going to be talking about today is how to read a book to your children in a way that will pull the most learning possible. And I went ahead and grabbed this book. It is called Which Shape Should I Be? It's kind of a tongue twister. Which shape should I be? And it's a brand new book that is by B&H Publishing Group. B&H Publishing Group just released this book, and so you might want to check it out after we get done reading it. But what I want to talk to you about is how to read this book and get the most learning out of it. So the book is specifically for a toddler. And so that's why we're going to talk about the shapes. But I'm going to show you different ways for different age kids that you can pull learning. So just looking at the title, one of the things that you could do is, you see how the little girl's upside down? You could say to your kids, what is wrong with this picture? And the older kids will realize she's upside down. And so to add in gross motor, you could say, why don't you get on your head and show me what your face looks upside down? Or look at it in front of a mirror, or whatever that you can do to enjoy that extra activity. Then also, if you have an older child, you can go ahead and talk about the shapes on the front. You can talk about the colors. Now remember that the first step of teaching is introducing the concept. So this is where you would say, this is a purple circle, or this circle is purple. This triangle is yellow. If you have older kids, you could also talk about polka dots, because there's polka dots inside of that yellow triangle. And so you would introduce each one of the shapes. If your child is, let's say, 3 or 4 years old, you can be talking about the shapes. If you have a 5-year-old, then you can make sure that they have the learning, which is the highest step, and you can say, what is this shape? This shape is a heart. This shape is an oval. So those are just things that you can do just off the cover. You can talk about the different letters. If you have a 4 or 5-year-old, what letter is this? What sound does this letter make? These are the different questions you can ask. And this is just all off of the front cover of the book. Okay, let's go ahead and go further in. An apple is a circle shape. It hangs upon a tree. Point to the apple that is shaped the way it's made to be. Right here, if I had a 1-year-old, I would take their finger, and a 2-year-old too, 1 or 2-year-old, I would take their finger and I would trace the circle. And as we trace it, I would say, circle, 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 over and over and over, as long as they would allow you to trace their finger on that shape. And then the book tells you to point to the apple that is shaped the way it's supposed to be. Now, for a toddler, they're not going to know which one is an apple until you go through the books many, many, many times. And so then you can take their little finger and point to the apple and say, apple, apple. And some of them, after time, will start repeating after you, apple. And you can say apple. With the older kids, then you are going to let them point to which one is the apple. And then for your 4 and 5-year-olds, say, how do you know this is an apple? Then you're getting into a higher level of questions. How do you know this is an apple? Because this one is a heart shape, and a heart is not the shape, an apple is not a heart shape, and etc. Let's keep going. My sailboat has a triangle for sailing on the sea. Can you find the sail that is the shape that mine would be? One of the things that you can do also with this book is start talking about rhyming words. C, B, they both say E, and that's how they rhyme. When I do rhyming words with kindergarten kids, I say C, B, they both say E. Rhyming is so important for reading. So important for reading. So pull out these words that are rhyming. C, B, they both say E. And you want to get to the point where, as you've read a book many, many, many times, remember, repetition is boring for adults. It's learning for kids. After you've read the book many, many times, that you can say, my sailboat has a, and point to triangle, and they say, triangle. For sailing on the sea, can you find the sail that is the shape that mine would be? And allow them to be able to say be and have that rhyming practice. We come over to the picture. We can talk about the picture. For the 4 and 5-year-olds and some 3-year-olds, we can talk about what is this shape, which one matches. We're talking about matching. We can talk about colors. We can talk about the boats. Here's one. I have a birdhouse that is a square. Dad made it just for me. Do you know which birdhouse is the shape mine's made to be? Me, B, they both say E. Good. And then we'd start talking about the little girl. We could talk about the red bird. We can talk about what she is doing, asking questions of, what do you think she's making? And she's making a birdhouse. Which birdhouse would you like to make? And then talk about their favorite birdhouse. You can ask these questions to help bring the story to life and to help them be a part of the learning. I'm going to skip ahead a few pages. Mom and I cut cookies, shaped like hearts to have with tea. Pretend to eat the cookie made the way that ours would be. And you can pretend to take that cookie off and say, which cookie would you like to eat? And then pretend to eat it with them. Toddlers love this pretend play. And so do your 3-year-olds as well and your 4-year-olds. So choose a cookie. Which cookie would you choose? If you were gonna make cookies, what kind of cookies would you like to make? Then another thing is to look at the pragmatics. Pragmatics is that language that our faces say. That's the emotion part of it. And when we're looking at this little picture of this little girl, how is she feeling? What do you think she's thinking? And you always want to tell the kids to look at the eyebrows, to look at the face, and to look at the hand gestures. What is the child thinking based on the eyebrows, the mouth, and the hands? A lot of times you want to look for those eyebrows. Can be excitement. They can be nervousness. There's a lot of things that the eyebrows will say that you don't even have to see the mouth to know what the eyes are saying. So talk with the kids. You notice that her tongue is out. Do you see her tongue? Her tongue is out. And what does that tell you about her tongue being out? It probably means that she really likes the cookies that she and her mom made together. A crescent is a shape that's curved, just like the letter C. Can you tap the moon drawn like a crescent shape would be? So a crescent is not one of the shapes that we talk about in the ABC Jesus Loves Me curriculum, but it's one that the kids will be exposed to in elementary school. And here you have the example of a full circle, a full moon versus a half moon versus the crescent. And you can take this learning into what the children are doing in their regular life by looking at the moon at night. Talk about how this book relates to their real world. Tapping, have them tap on the book. Have them point to it. So just as a reminder, introducing is saying, this is a circle. The next step is point to the circle. Which one is the circle? That's when you're checking to see and you're practicing that learning. And then the final step of teaching is, what is this? You're checking to make sure that learning has actually occurred. So this is a circle. That's step number 1. Number 2, you're going to practice it. Which one is the circle? I've narrowed it down for them. I'm checking to see, are they able to pick it out of a whole group? And then the last step is, what is this? And that is where you check to make sure the learning has occurred. I've really enjoyed this book. Which Shape Should I Be by B&H Publishing, and you can order that book now. I'll put a link in this video so that you can see the book and order it for yourself. But as you can see, a book that only has about 10 pages can have so much learning if you take the time to do that.